Thanks, Jeff. First, on behalf of our whole program, we want to make sure everybody knows that in our thoughts and our prayers, Coach Lateef right now. We want to make sure we're praying for him. Our team prayer through the whole weekend was for him, and hope that he has a speedy recovery and God continues to heal him. But congratulations to both our basketball programs for continuing to play. Just as Bob said, I think experience is so important. We're fighting for that right now. We started 3 years ago with that team that finished last year, and the biggest difference maker, I think, was experience. There's no price you can pay for experience. You can keep practicing them, but to continue to play like both our women's and men's team were able to do, boy, that's huge. I wish we had something like that for baseball to continue to keep our guys and keep building on experience. But we came back at McNeese and had a come-from-behind win, which was huge. And then Wednesday we didn't play well. We actually pitched well. We just didn't hit or play defense. We got beat with giving up some unearned runs only. But I thought Connor did a great job of pitching with us not playing defense behind him. And then from there, going into the weekend, let the game get away from us on Friday night. Kind of had to sit and take it at the end of there to try to save all our pitching for the weekend. But I thought our guys did a great job coming back after that game and in the clubhouse and doing the things that needed to be done to be able to come back from a series opening loss and come back and win the next two. We were able to finally get Trosclair back into the lineup the way we really thought we would be there opening day, but couldn't because he got injured and playing in the summer collegiate league in Alaska, bless you. And now by getting him back out on the field has really helped us because we've been able to move Tyler to DH, which is what we want to do, and bring Robbins in the third. Then we were able to get Powell back in the lineup. Of course, he hits a first pitch he sees out of the ballpark, but having him back is going to be huge too because we can get another older guy back into the lineup and left field for us. So we played so much better defensively, and the feeling was so much better having people in the places that we wanted them to be in. It's taken us a while to get to that with injuries, but we finally have got here, so hopefully they can stay healthy from this point on. And then our bullpen was a little shaky in game 1 and game 2, but then we calmed down, and I thought Evan Guillory came out Sunday and pitched a great game and backed him up with Mark. So from one freshman to another freshman, did a great job of dominating their opponent. They're off today. We'll head to LSU tomorrow and play in the Wally Pontiff Classic. We're playing it again next year. We're so glad that the Pontiffs continue to ask us to play in that. I lost a little brother, so I know how it feels. And I watched my parents when that happened, and it's not easy when a parent buries a child. And the Pontiffs had to bury their son, and I was fortunate enough to coach against him, play against him when he was alive. He was a great kid and a good player, and I'm just honored that they keep asking us to go back there and play to try to continue to bring fans to continue to generate revenue for them to be able to put into his foundation. So we'll have a tough task, but it'll be good for us. Last year we brought an older team into there that had been into the regional the year before over there and in that atmosphere. Now we're going to bring a little bit younger team, especially on the mound, back into there. So it'll be good for us to be able to get in there and see what a regional atmosphere feels like, feel that kind of pressure, feel that awareness, so that we continue to get better as this team goes and get ourselves into an NCAA regional this season. We won't be spooked by walking into something and seeing some of that for the first time. We thought we were going to get some of that when we went to Alabama and play, but because it was so cold, they had less than 100 people in the stands, so there was not that big pressure situation on us as there will be tomorrow night. So that'll be good for us to handle in our growth that we're trying to accomplish. Open up the floor for questions you might have.
How encouraging is it during that growth you talk about that you might not be playing your best ball, but kind of like you saw this weekend, the team's not laying down?
No. I mean, I knew we had a chance when after the first loss at Georgia State, when I went back to the back of the bus and just told them that we're not going to abandon them, just because it's tough times. And when I turned back around to go sit down, one of the players in the back hollered, "Coach, we're never going to quit." So that's a good sign. That's all you want, especially in baseball, man, because you ride such a roller coaster. You're only succeeding 30% of the time as hitters. Pitchers have a little bit better opportunity. They succeed at 70% of the time, but you're playing a game of failure. You're playing a game that you're probably going to lose a third of your games. It's just such a tough game mentally that you cannot stay down for long. And I was really glad. One thing that they've done a good job of this year, some young teams can get put in a tailspin. Well, even the Omaha team got put in a tailspin and lost 9 games in a row. A lot of people don't realize that, but they did. It's what they did after they were in there. And we've always tried to tell them, there's a difference between a rut and a grave. I mean, the great players, Michael Jordan goes into a rut, but he doesn't stay there very long. He doesn't let it turn into a grave, and that's the thing you got to be careful of. And I really like what they've been able to do. They get hit hard, but they come back the next day and pull themselves back up, and get back in the ring. So that's all you can ask out of a young team.
Is Toots going to be starting tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, we'll throw some arms though, but he will start for me. Yes.
So maybe 3-4 innings max for him.
Well, we'll see. We're gonna first see where our soreness is coming out of the weekend, and we want to try to do our best job in trying to stay away from momentum. They're a big momentum team. They always have been. They're a big rhythm team, and they get their crowd in it, and all of a sudden you're pitching against adrenaline. So that's the biggest thing that you want to try to stay away from. So we got to play good defense. You can't let that adrenaline, that momentum get going. And as pitching, we got to stay away from walks. And then we don't know if we're old enough yet to just send a guy in there and, hey, go get the 3rd best team in the country on the road. We think it's going to take our bullpen. We think we're going to try to mix up some arm angles and some eyes and, that kind of thing to try to get through there successfully. So I think he'll definitely start. And you know what? If for some reason he's got them, he can have them. It's not to say he can't. It's just they're a big rhythm and momentum team. When they see pitchers for a long time, they can start to make adjustments. So sometimes you want to try to get guys in, get guys out, and try to stay away from them being able to get a read on somebody. Will it work? Who knows? But our biggest goal also is to try to get the bullpen continued experience in that setting. One thing to get, a hitter out, protected at home. It's another thing to get a hitter out when you're on the road and there's 150 people in the stands. It's different now. Trying to get these hitters out. I mean, how many teams in the country hit 333 as a team with 24 home runs? Plus, they're quick, they're fast, they can run, they can steal. He's got a good ball club, and they've got some experience on the field. So it'll be a good test for us, but a good one.
Connor's only had 2 appearances this year, but threw pretty well the last time out. Is it difficult for somebody like him to only have like a couple opportunities and then to come up and take it?
Well, he's been here, for a long time, so he's been in our system. He's all of his outings have been good. He's been calm in all of them. The game hadn't been too fast for him. And watching him the other night with us, making an error here, an error there, an error here, an error there, he never got spooked. So that's what you want going into a game like this. He matches up good because he can change speeds. You can't go in there throwing just fastballs and think that you're going to get out of there alive. It's not going to happen. So we'll see. It'll be a good test for him, but it'll be good for him. We feel he's earned it. He's thrown well up to this point, and all of his inner squads have been good. He threw well all fall. We think he's matured, and again, we'll be able to test that maturity tomorrow night.
Tony, you've always been able, no matter if it's in Lafayette or we play LSU in Baton Rouge, in this case New Orleans, you made a positive out of it. You've used the Andy Grove example before. It's always a good test when we play LSU.
Well, it is. I can't invite 10,000 people to practice so I can put pressure on the young pitching staff. You can't create what we're fixing to go into at practice. You can try all you want. You can cut loudspeakers on. You can make it loud, noisy. You can do what you want to do, but there's no substitute for what we're going to go see tomorrow night and be in. So I like it for that reason. Last year, I think they were ready for that because of where they were in their maturity, and it showed. The game was shortened because of rain, but we felt really good playing the game. We felt good in the game. We weren't sitting on our heels or anything because of the age of our team. Now what we've got to learn how to do is go do that tomorrow and be in that. So either way, we're going to get something out of that. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to get better. And that way when we're in it again, which is what our goal is to be in it again at the end of the season, we're better prepared for it.
Just picking up on that, because of who the opponent is, do you preach that it's any different, any more important than any other midweek game or not?
No, that's for the fans. Our big thing is we can go 1-56. If we beat LSU, there'll be a guy here in town happy. But that's for the fans. Our biggest thing that we go into it for is development and being able. We can't drive. You got to drive pretty far to get that type of atmosphere. We got it right here, an hour away. So, and it brings everything that you try to teach to a young team or to a team. Give your ability a chance to fail you, because there's no dishonor in that. It's when you fail your ability. And a lot of people that go into there, they do not give their ability a chance to fail them. Their ability fails them because of their record, their past, their crowd, everything else. Being able to pitch to them as a real baseball player instead of thinking that's Ruth and Madeline at the plate because of the adrenaline that they have. The hitters can make themselves look like they're 6 feet tall. And so pitchers have a tendency to run from the strike zone. And so there's what you gain out of this game is enormous for me as a coach in development, because you're going in there to handle so many things, you know. That venue has been so difficult through the years because they almost make you try to play an imperfect game perfect to win. And that's the challenge, because you can't play this game perfectly. And if you've watched so many teams go in there, and you watch some of the games we have the chance to watch on CST and all of that stuff when we're not playing, so many teams are right there, but then they kick a ball, they throw a ball away, momentum gets started, adrenaline gets going, and then somebody at LSU hangs a 7 spot on them. If they just wouldn't have thrown the ball away, I don't know if they'd have won, but at least they'd have stayed in the ball game, you know. And they do what a lot of great teams do, you know. They get out of their venue, which has got to be difficult. They go to Southern, and then all of a sudden Southern's got them almost ready to be finished, but they didn't allow it. So that's a sign of a great baseball team. And so we get a lot by going there that if you don't schedule it, I don't know where else you're going to get this. We'd have to constantly just preach it to our players. It's one thing to preach to a freshman, don't run from the strike zone. It's one thing being in a pitcher's meeting in the fall and telling them, look, I don't know if you've ever pitched to a kid on adrenaline before, but when you do, you can throw the ball 2 feet off the plate, you can throw it on his shoestrings, and he hits it off the wall. You bring him back the next day, and you throw the same pitch on his shoestrings, he can't foul it off. But the night before, with adrenaline, he hits it off the scoreboard. And so there's a difference when you play teams that can be adrenalized. And as Skip has said it many times, when we've gone there and we've beaten them in the middle of the week and come back, one of the headlines one morning, Skip said, you know, they came in here and they were adrenalized. I mean, when you play against somebody with adrenaline, they tough to beat. And when you play people on the road with 100 people in the stands, it's just hard for that team to create adrenaline, but only 100 people. But boy, when you go into their ballpark, they can create adrenaline. And so you've got 9 innings to try to keep that adrenaline asleep. And there's only one way to do it. You got to throw strikes. You got to get off the field when you're supposed to get off the field. You know, you look at the regional 2 years ago when we were there, a pop-up in the infield did us in. Booty's throwing well. We were right there. They hit a little pop-up. So the pitcher, you know, at the time, was not Booty, but we should have been able to make that play. We don't make that play, then they go on to push a 3-run inning across on us. That's why it's tough to win in there. is people have to almost play perfect. And man, when you play an imperfect game and you're trying to play it perfect, that's pressure. But boy, when you can go in there and you can handle it, it's a good feeling. It's a real good feeling. And if we don't, we learn from it. We didn't handle a doubleheader and sitting around in a hotel. We got a chance the next weekend to play a doubleheader, and we swept it. So one good thing about them is I think they're learning along the way, and this is really good for us to go into there. The field plays a little bit bigger than Alex box, so a lot of times you don't get as much of the adrenaline as you do in the box, especially I find in the old box. The old box, ooh, I mean, there were some nights I didn't know if we were going to go through 10 arms in one inning when they got adrenalized and Cressy started hitting balls back to interstate. I mean, you talk about looking around at your lineup card trying to figure out how we're going to get out of this. It's only the third inning. I find, the bigger stadium is a little bit easier to play in. This one is a little bit easier because it's a big stadium. Will it be easy? No way. No way at all. They're going to bring good fan base and, football. We used to go to the old box and they were so loud already just during your BP or your in and out. They were loud, and boy, that you bring young teams into something like that. I see it all the time. I mean, I was watching last year or the year before, a team's playing against them, 2 outs, runners at first and second. They hit the shortstop a backhand ball. He gets to it, but he can't finish the play. Well, one of their players from LSU came around third too hard, so he had him dead to right. He throws it in the dugout. They score 6 more runs right there. If he'd have just thrown the ball straight, he got a chance to get out of there and not create adrenaline. Whereas last year, if you remember, BT knocks the ball down his backhand, right? Picks it up calm, guy stays running, throws a strike to the plate, and Mike almost knocks that kid into the third row of the bleachers with his tag. That's a difference in mindset and a difference in players right there. BT didn't get up and chicken wing it into the dirt and bounce off Mike's face mask. Guy slides in, save, jumps up with a fist pump, and now you've got all this adrenaline you got to fight all over just a throw to the plate. Instead, what that team could do, he set his feet. That's why he's an All-American. Throws a strike to Mike, and Mike puts a good tag on him, and now we go on. Yeah, debatable whether we won or not because it was a shortened game, but we hadn't let the game get away from us is what we hadn't done, even though it was a rain shortened game. This year's team, we got to be able to do that with this pitching staff because this is a younger pitching staff.
Can you talk about Mills' improvement, how he got into a lineup? I'm sure it's all coaching. He hits a home run, and the next day he's number 2 in the lineup, and he's got 3 base hits.
His at-bats were getting better. He wasn't getting dominated at the plate. That's what you look for, because those guys are going to fail 70% of the time. What you want to see when they fail is how productive are they. When they start to strike it out, leaving runners at third with 1 out, feeble swings, like they're swinging in the dark, they're feeling through the hitting zone, hoping to hit. Those guys have to come sit by me. The one thing he's been doing a good job of is that he's competing in the strike zone. He's swinging with no fear of failure. And that's all you can ask in this profession is to get up to the box and get after it. They asked Dennis Eckersley one year and they put him in the Hall of Fame or whatever, was he ever scared when he took the mound? He said many a times, but he just would fake it until he made it, And so that's the whole key with this is big leaguers are scared and fearful too. They just have a way of dealing with it. They don't get rid of it. It doesn't show up because they're a big leaguer. I mean, they just handle it. And so you want a hitter to get in the box and swing with some arrogance. And a lot of times when guys start to go bad, they start to get passive. They take more. They let the pitcher charge them instead of them charging the pitcher. So Brian's been doing a good job of not being passive in the box.
What went behind the whole lineup switch? I mean, it was drastic. You get BT in the leadoff spot all 23 games, and then.
Well, we got to look at it and started seeing that we felt we had a bunch of the better hitters. At first we wanted people to face our better hitters, but then after the season got going, we couldn't get any help from the bottom, consistent help. So we felt what was happening was they would cut through our better hitters, and then now as you get to the bottom of the order who was non-productive, And then now what it did was it made us have 2 innings almost before we could come back up and be competitive again. And then we get those guys on base, there's nobody to drive those guys in. So we kind of looked after the loss that other night and said, hey, let's spread out our lineup a little bit. We take a chance because Shug, you love to see him on the on-deck circle with the game on the line in the 9th inning in the 2 and the 3 spot. But if he's farther down, we might not get to him to end the game. So that's the scary part about it, but we also felt the important thing is we need to learn how to be competitive every inning and not every 2 innings. And so we just spread it out and tried to make sure that we could be competitive every inning. And we feel better. It feels better to us as coaches. We feel better defensively with the moves we made. The pitchers feel better. We feel better at the plate that we're competitive every inning. And then we can take maybe a guy that's maybe hadn't been the big contributor, and maybe he could move runners for us, with the hit and run, with the bunt, and burn his at bat, then let the hitter that's been more productive for us hit with runners in scoring position instead of getting the hitters that have been productive on base and then trying to make the non-productive hitter drive him in. So that's all we did was just spread it out and try to be more competitive every inning.
Tony, looking at the Sun Belt, it doesn't look like it gets easier. Another big weekend of conference play.
Yep, it's the Sun Belt. The trouble we have is this unique year again where, nobody's running away with anything. No great records right now. But we have to just, I know we lost a lot from last year, but it's the good thing is the people that are really on top of us, we're still playing them. So that's what you want, boy. You hate when the people on top of you finish with them, because now you got to start hoping somebody else does your work. And boy, it's hard to be a champion when you pray for somebody else to do your work. A champion does his own work. And so I like that the people we're playing are ahead of us, are right there with us, and some of the better teams we're playing are here too, which helps us. But either way, Little Rock still beating some people. They beat us. We were on the road. I think a lot's bunched up right now. I don't know if anybody's really so-called made a move yet. Our goal is to try to stay right here late in the weeds and, to where we can still see the finish line and not get too far from it and have to try to do so much to get caught back up again. I think if we'd have played better defense, I think we got at least 3 to 4 more wins. If we just would have played better defense along the way. We said that at the beginning of the year that we got to play better defense because we got young pitchers on the mound. If you look on Sunday, they threw a Sunday arm. That's not traditionally a Sunday arm. So how do you beat that guy? You got to beat him with pitching and defense, and that's what we would do. And you don't have to score as many runs when you pitch and play defense. Look what Nichols did. Nichols proved the epitome of pitching and defense. They pitched, they played defense, and they beat somebody on the road without scoring an earned run. If that doesn't make you understand the value of pitching and defense, you ought to go get another job. It's just real simple. That's where everything's at. And we knew our pitching would be a little shaky, but what we had hoped for was the defense would. And the defense really had been shaky on us, and that's what's kind of put us where we are. One good thing is we think we're starting to shore that up. And one good thing is you want something that's curable. When somebody tells you got something that's uncurable, and shaky defense, I think we can adjust some things and try to cure it, which we did on Sunday. And it felt better. I know the pitching felt better. They felt they could, because look, you work every day with a string on the knees of these plastic batters in the bullpen of keeping the ball on the knees so that you can induce more ground balls. Well, when you do that, you want to know that behind you, you're going to catch them. And last year, that's what was so good about last year is that when you put the ball on the carpet, it was an out. This year sometimes when you put the ball on the carpet, you didn't know if it was going to be an out until you saw it for yourself. And that's not good. I've been on some teams before where I remember Scott Dolman on the World Series team, as soon as the ground ball left him, I had to talk to him about this a couple of times, but even our third baseman, the catcher, but the ground Mazziotti and Nelson, the ground ball would go to the middle of the infield with 1 out, and they'd run off the field. And leave nobody at third. If you fail to turn that double play, third base is open. Nelson and Dolman and Mazziotti were already in the dugout while they were turning the double play. But that's how confident they were back then. This year, there's been a couple times where, a ground ball goes down, and everybody waits to see if it's an out before we leave the field. And sometimes you can hear some of our older guys in the dugout hollering, get off the field as soon as the ball's been hit, because you want that kind of arrogance. You want to know that, I can get off the field right here, but yet, we start a game off, Wednesday night where Connor gets a quick out, he's throwing strikes, we get a quick out, throwing strikes, a 14 hopper goes to second base, and, the old lady's going to get her some nachos now because she knows for sure this is an out. And then, of course, somebody stops her at the concession stand and tells her it was, didn't get out of the inning. She can't believe it because she saw the 16 hopper. She figures out for sure that's got to be an out. Well, it wasn't an out. And that's what we got to get better at, is being able to get the ball, get off the field with arrogance, and move on. But they're coming. They're getting better at that. Tomorrow will be a greater test of it because of the surroundings now. But it's like that guy that walked that tightrope, a while back in the Grand Canyon. They asked him when he was finished, how'd you do something like that? No safety net, no safety harness, nothing, The guy said he never looked down. He never looked at his surroundings. And so that's what you've got to do when you get into a game like tomorrow night. You can't start looking at your surroundings because the game doesn't change. What they change on you in these things is the surroundings. And when you start to look at the surroundings, you get in trouble. That guy would have been looking down the whole time. I guarantee he falls off that rope, but he never took his eyes off the other side. Same thing with being seasick. They tell you not to look down. So that's what you got to be able to do in this situation. You put a board on the ground, ask Connor Toops to walk across it, or anybody on our team, they'll walk across it with no fear. But you take the same board and you bring it up 10 flights of stairs and put it across 2 buildings with no safety net. Now you're going to see if somebody will walk that board. The board hadn't changed. The board's still the same board you walked on when it was on the ground. The difference is your surroundings have changed. And so what we try to preach when we go into a game like this tomorrow or big games is walk the board. Just walk the board, man. It's the same board. Just don't start looking at your surroundings. But sometimes young teams can't do that. So we'll see.
Coach, in the past, you've expressed your desire for the conference to try to avoid playing on Easter. We always do.
We've got it changed for 2016.
So is there...
Coach asked me one time, Coach, it's going to be maybe more travel. What about the money in the class miss? I said, well, the guy we're doing it for died for you. So, why are we going to debate this? Man died for you. What are you going to worry about?
Right.
Money for? And classes missed. Man died for you.
Is there a possibility, or might you talk to Georgia State about altering this weekend at all?
I don't know if the conference office would let us do it. We haven't thought about that because they passed it as a rule for next year. Everybody mandatorily has to play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which was we were so glad. We've been pushing it for years. Jay knows that. There's just always been a few people that didn't want it. I don't know what they're going to tell him when they face him, but he asked them that question. But I hope they have a good answer. But we finally got it, so we're going to definitely start it in 2016. But no, we haven't talked about that, and I don't know if the conference office would let us do that. Because that guy's travel's already been set up and everything. So, but we will do it next year and have Easter Sunday off. That'd be good for our players and, good for our fans too, man. It puts our fans in a unique situation. A lot of them cooking and doing things on Easter Sunday, and they should be allowed to do that. And again, like I said, the man died for us, and he died a thief's death. They didn't give him a banquet, didn't honor him, and yet we can't honor him. I think it's pathetic. So I'm glad that we finally got enough coaches in there that have enough sense to do this.
Any more questions?
Thanks, guys.